Today on Stellar Eureka, we are going inside Ted Turner's 2 million acre empire, a series of massive ranches where ancient ecological principles are being applied on a scale never before imagined. This is the story of how restoring the land can lead to discoveries no one thought possible, how a single animal became the engine for an ecological miracle visible from space, and how a sustainable business model is funding the largest private conservation effort in human history. And wait until you see the prehistoric giant he brought back to America after a 10,000-year absence and the sophisticated technology used to track the heartbeat of a restored wilderness. This is the story of how one man's impossible dream is rewriting the future of the American West. Our story begins not with a grand success, but with a grand failure. In 1989, media mogul Ted Turner stood on a windswept Montana hillside looking out at the 113-acre Flying D Ranch. It was a moonscape. Decades of intensive cattle grazing had destroyed the land so completely that you could walk for miles without seeing a single blade of native grass. His own financial advisors told him he was insane to pay $22 million for an ecological wasteland, and local ranchers laughed at the city slicker from Atlanta who thought he could fix what had been broken for generations. But this purchase was just the beginning. Over the next 3 decades, Turner would spend over $2 billion acquiring struggling ranches, creating an empire that now covers more than 2 million acres across the American West. That's an area larger than the state of Delaware. His holdings are so vast and diverse that they contain entire ecosystems, from the shortgrass prairies of Nebraska to the 558,000-acre Vermejo Ranch in New Mexico, a property larger than most national parks that stretches from rolling plains to snow-capped alpine tundra over 12,900 feet high. He wasn't just buying land, he was acquiring the broken pieces of a lost world, a canvas on which to paint a restored masterpiece. To do that, he needed a very specific tool, an animal that held the secret to the land's rebirth in its very DNA. The key to Turner's vision was the American bison. In the 1800s, up to 60 million of these animals defined the Great Plains. By 1890, after a systematic campaign of slaughter, fewer than 1,000 remained, most in zoos or tiny government herds. Turner saw them not just as a species to be saved, but as the engine that could bring the entire ecosystem back to life. He understood an ancient principle modern agriculture had forgotten. The bison was a keystone species, the one animal that could engineer the rebirth of the prairie. Unlike cattle, which tend to graze in the same areas repeatedly, compacting the soil, bison are constantly on the move. Their sharp hooves are nature's aerators, breaking up the hard earth and allowing it to breathe. When they wallow in the dust, they carve out shallow depressions that become vital microhabitats, collecting precious rainwater for insects and plants. Their unique grazing style, where they clip the grasses rather than pulling them up by the roots, actually stimulates stronger, healthier growth. The transformation they triggered was so profound that it was captured by NASA. Satellite photos of Turner's ranches, once brown and barren, began to turn a vibrant green, an ecological miracle visible from orbit. As the bison healed the land from the ground up, another ancient forest was being restored from the mountaintops down. Across his 2 million acres, Turner has accomplished something that seems impossible in the arid West. He has actually increased the amount of available water. This wasn't done with new technology, but by restoring the natural plumbing of the landscape. Decades of poor land use had damaged the streams and rivers, causing water to run off quickly, taking valuable topsoil with it. By healing these watersheds, his ranches now capture and store more water than when he first bought them. Nowhere is this more evident than on the Vermejo Ranch. A massive 15-year project is underway to restore the Rio Grande cutthroat trout, New Mexico's state fish, to over 120 miles of its native mountain streams. This involves the painstaking removal of non-native fish like brook trout that were introduced decades ago and compete with the native trout for food and space. As the streamside vegetation has been restored, beavers have returned. These other natural engineers build dams that create cooler, deeper pools, further improving the habitat for the native fish and recharging the groundwater for the entire valley. It's a powerful lesson in how fixing one part of a natural system can create a cascade of positive effects. The return of clean water and healthy grass was an open invitation for animals that had been gone for a century to finally come home. In a radical departure from traditional ranching, which views predators as a threat to be eliminated, Turner embraced them as a crucial part of a healthy ecosystem. As the grasslands recovered and prey populations like elk and prairie dogs rebounded, predators began returning on their own. Mountain lions, black bears, and coyotes started showing up on properties where they hadn't been seen for decades. His ranches now support some of the healthiest predator populations in the American West. This has created a unique natural laboratory. On the Vermejo Ranch, graduate student Max Marwin from Oklahoma State University has been studying the complex and brutal relationship between cougars and black bears. His research focuses on a behavior called kleptoparasitism, where one predator systematically steals another's kill. By tracking these interactions, scientists are learning how a complete, self-regulating ecosystem truly functions, untangling the intricate dance of life and death that was erased from most of the landscape a century ago. This acceptance of nature's full complexity, including its top predators, set the stage for Turner's most ambitious projects. As the land healed, Turner began to build a modern-day Noah's Ark, using his ranches as a sanctuary for some of the most endangered animals on Earth. His work to save the Mexican gray wolf is a prime example. When he started this work in 1997, there were fewer than 50 of these wolves left in the entire world. The program, a partnership with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, was incredibly difficult. Disease wiped out entire litters, and genetic problems threatened the fragile bloodline. His Ladder Ranch in New Mexico became home to the Ladder Ranch Wolf Management Facility, one of only 3 pre-release facilities in the country. It serves as a crucial halfway house, a place where captive-bred wolves can acclimate to the wild before being released, and where wild wolves can be brought for medical care. Since 1998, over 140 different wolves have passed through this facility, a vital contribution to pulling the species back from the brink. In 2021, the ranch even became the first private land to host a translocation, providing a home for a new wild pack to give them the best possible chance of survival. Saving a famous predator is one thing, but the next animal on the ark was a creature that vanished from the American landscape before the pyramids were even built. Have you ever heard of the Bolson Tortoise? These prehistoric giants can live for over 100 years and weigh up to 100 pounds, but they had vanished from what is now the United States for over 10,000 years since the last ice age. By the early 2000s, fewer than 2,500 remained in a tiny patch of Mexico, and they were listed as critically endangered. Experts said saving them was hopeless. They take up to 20 years to reach sexual maturity, and there simply wasn't enough time. Turner proved them wrong. In 2006, the Turner Endangered Species Fund acquired a small group of just 30 tortoises from a private collection that had been cared for over 40 years. From that tiny founding population, his ranches in New Mexico have now successfully produced over 800 hatchlings. Using a Head Start program, the young tortoises are raised in predator-proof enclosures until they reach a size where they can survive on their own. In a profound act of what scientists call Pleistocene rewilding, they have released the first US-born Bolson tortoises back into their ancestral homeland in 10 millennia. It's like bringing a living fossil back from the dead. Turner's true genius wasn't just in saving species, it was making conservation profitable. He knew that for his vision to last, it couldn't be a philanthropic hobby. It had to be a sustainable business. The most famous part of this plan is Ted's Montana Grill, a restaurant chain he co-founded on a revolutionary idea: use the bison to save the bison. By creating a national market for bison meat, he generated a reliable revenue stream to fund the very conservation that produced it. The idea was an instant success. Americans discovered that bison is not only delicious, but it's significantly healthier than beef, with more protein, less fat, and higher levels of nutrients like iron. And because bison are perfectly adapted to the prairie, they are raised with a far smaller environmental footprint. The restaurants, now numbering over 40, have served over 50 million bison meals, creating a market that supports not just Turner's conservation efforts, but bison producers across the country. It's a perfect, vertically integrated system from pasture to plate that turns a burger into a tool for ecological restoration. What most people don't realize is that Turner's 2 million acres have become one of the most important ecological research sites in the world. Universities and research institutions from around the globe come here to conduct groundbreaking studies on everything from climate change to wildlife behavior. The sheer scale and health of the ecosystems provide a unique opportunity for discovery. Sometimes those discoveries are astounding. Take the work of graduate student Ben Legler from the University of Wyoming. While conducting a 3-year floristic inventory of the massive Vermejo Ranch, he documented over 1,000 different plant species. In the process, high on an alpine scree slope above the timberline, he found a delicate purple flower that had never been seen before. It was a species entirely new to science, now named Phlox vermejoensis, the Vermejo Phlox. The act of restoring the land literally created the opportunity for new scientific knowledge to emerge. It proves a profound point. When we destroy ecosystems, we're not just losing what we know is there, we're losing everything we haven't yet had the chance to discover. While the ranches emphasize natural processes, they also employ cutting-edge technology that would make a Silicon Valley engineer jealous. Many of the bison wear GPS collars that cost over $3,000 each. These devices do more than just track location. They monitor activity levels and health status in real time, providing a constant stream of data. The system is so precise it can predict when a female is about to give birth or detect an illness before physical symptoms even appear. This fire hose of data allows managers to understand the herds with a level of detail that was unimaginable just a few years ago, informing grazing strategies and research projects. Graduate student Kate Asmus, for example, used this GPS telemetry to study bison migration and grazing dynamics, advancing the understanding of how this keystone species uses the landscape. This fusion of ancient ecology and modern technology extends to the land itself. Aerial surveys using aircraft and drones monitor wildlife populations and assess range conditions across vast landscapes, covering areas in a single day that would take ground crews weeks to assess. This scientific rigor doesn't just produce academic papers. It powers a powerful economic engine in places that need it most. Turner's quest went deeper than just numbers. He wasn't just saving any bison, he was preserving their ancient genetic legacy. He sought out and protected specific herds like the Castle Rock bison on his Vermejo Ranch, a population that has been on that land for over 100 years. Why is this so important? Because genetic testing has shown this herd is free of the cattle DNA that has contaminated many other herds, even some of those in Yellowstone. These animals are a pure, uncorrupted link to the millions of bison that once defined the American continent. They are a living genetic ark. The management of this herd is as hands-off as possible, allowing them to migrate freely across more than 500,000 acres, emulating the natural patterns that shaped the Great Plains for millennia. This isn't just about bringing back an animal. It's about preserving an uncorrupted piece of the wild, a biological treasure that, once lost, could never be recreated. It is the ultimate expression of his philosophy, to save not just the pieces of an ecosystem, but the entire intricate machine. From a barren wasteland to a thriving world, Ted Turner's empire is more than just land. It's a working model proving that conservation and capitalism don't have to be enemies. His ranches are living laboratories, testing what the future of coexistence could look like and reminding us that the smartest progress often begins by returning to nature itself. Which of Ted Turner's conservation projects inspires you most and why? Share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear how you see the balance between business and the planet's survival. If you enjoyed exploring the hidden intersections between wealth, wilderness, and wisdom, make sure to like, subscribe, and share Stella Eureka with someone who believes that the future of the Earth is still worth building. This is Stella Eureka, signing off.